Welcome to the Moviegoers Society podcast, brought to you by Nerdtropolis. I'm your host, Sean Tajipour, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and joining me once again is my co-host, Drew Munhausen, the professional media and movie mastermind, who is back in space. He is a space addict. He can't get enough of space. He's moved up there now, it seems like.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I was in the International Space Station. I'm back in space now, but for a solo mission this time. So it's pretty lonely out here, Sean. I'm just glad that we're able to connect and be able to still talk to each other.
I don't know how much of a solo mission is. I see something behind you, but we'll get into that for sure. But in this podcast, we dive into the world of cinema, exploring everything from beloved classics to the latest blockbusters. And we're now on episode 32, where we find ourselves in a sci-fi logical journey with Netflix's Spaceman. That's what I have coined this movie. But before we get to all of that, we want to make sure we can connect with us online. You can find me on almost every single social media platform at Sean Taj and at Nerdtropolis. And don't forget to visit nerdtropolis.com for your daily dose of movie news, reviews, interviews, and trailers. And Drew, where can they find you when you're not contributing to Nerdtropolis?
You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms, weekly at Fresh Out the Podcast, and of course here on the Moviegoers Society show.
Yeah, don't forget to catch up on past episodes of the Moviegoers Society. We've done a lot of them. They're a lot of fun. We're going to keep going. And tune into my podcast, Real Insights. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course, Nerdtropolis YouTube channel. There's a lot coming, guys. If you like Ghostbusters, you got to stay tuned. If you like The Office, stay tuned. Just dropping some gems there. But there's a lot more coming. But I'd say we just get straight to it and blast off with Spaceman, Drew. This is a Netflix film that blends a cosmic exploration and intimate human drama. And it's directed by Johan Renck, who did the Chernobyl series, all of it, which he loves doing. He did a couple episodes of Breaking Bad. But he has said when he comes to a series like Chernobyl, he prefers to do all of it or none of it. So I think now we're going to see him transition into some limited series and feature films. And I got to also talk to Johan, and it was very insightful talking about Adam Sandler and Paul Dano in this film. So you can check that on the YouTube channel and everywhere else that the podcast lives. But this is a adaptation of Spaceman of Bohemia and follows an astronaut named Jacob, played by Adam Sandler, who is in a solo space mission like Drew is right now. But he finds himself with an ally that's a mysterious creature named Hanush, voiced by the Batman star Paul Dano, who he finds in his spacecraft. Drew, you finished this film more recently. It's more fresh in your head. So what did you think of Spaceman?
I'm a little mixed on Spaceman. I'd say I think the way that you described it is perfect. And there's a lot of aspects about it that I'd like. So the feeling of isolation. Actually, I thought Adam Sandler is his performance is pretty good here. It's just the movie itself is a little bit of a slog. Like, I understand what it's trying to do, and I think there are some good emotional moments. You've got Carey Mulligan's in this, and she's also very good. She's had a really strong past 12 months, I'd say, and everything that she's popped up in, whether or not the movie itself is great, she has been very good in those. And this is another good performance from her. I think it's just, like I said, the movie at times I was kind of like, okay, like let's move it along. But there's a lot of good parts here, even if the whole left something to be desired from me.
Yeah, it's not a move it along film, unfortunately. And it's not a sci-fi film either. Johan will tell you that. This is not a sci-fi film. It is a slow burn, very slow burn. I don't know how long it is, but I think it felt much longer than it actually was. But yes, Adam Sandler is great in this. I don't think it's his best performance because his character, his range in this character is more very monotone, very in his mind space right now is very dull and dry. And so we don't get much range from Sandler per se, but he goes through a lot of emotions. And it's you got Spider that's on him, Space Spider that's with him on the ride. And that is voiced by Paul Dano, who I love his voice, first of all. And that's something me and Johan talked about. And I thought he was the perfect choice for Hanush the Spider. And he was saying that that was his only choice that he wanted for this. On top, I think Adam Sandler was the only choice he wanted as well, because he was talking about comedic actors being able to do so much with drama, which is very true. Everyone's been saying that, especially since Sandler broke the mold for comedians really diving deep, like to the deep end of drama, not just a slow transition, a sharp turn into drama. So it's pretty good with Paul Dano and Adam Sandler kind of exchanging lines. And apparently, Paul Dano's spider is just a tennis ball when they're filming, is what they use for that.
Yeah, talking about Adam Sandler's career, it's kind of interesting. Like I have his filmography pulled up here, and obviously doing mostly work for Netflix. Really within the past, dating back now to like 2015. It's kind of crazy that his Netflix deal has been going on for that long, but there was kind of a stretch there of like Pixels and Hotel Transylvania and The Ridiculous Six and The Do-Over and Sandy Wexler, like where he was really leaning more into the silly movies that he does with his kind of band of pals, the those that are we are used to seeing pop up in Adam Sandler movies. But then he kind of, he did the Meyerowitz stories, and then he would do some more comedies like Murder Mystery, but then you get an Uncut Gems, and then you get a Hubie Halloween, and then you get Hustle. And then, we just recently had Murder Mystery 2 and Leo, and now we're getting Spaceman. So I do like that he throws in these more serious movies rather than his typical comedies, because I do like that he can still kind of flex his acting chops. And again, like in this, just like in Hustle almost 2 years ago now, he can do a really great performance when he wants to. Uncut Gems, Hustle, Spaceman, all of his dramas, I feel like from the Adam Sandler perspective, are all successful with his performances. And I do like that he's still willing to take some risks and some chances and express himself in different ways.
I thought for a non-sci-fi film, I know we're not going to talk sci-fi, I thought the visuals were actually really good. I was surprised. I don't know what the budget is for this film, but nothing looked cheap. However they made the inside of the space station shuttle thing was really cool. I thought Hanush looked really good for what it was. And a very interesting design as well for a space spider. And you kind of went in blind. Did you watch the trailers knowing there's a space spider in this film?
I did. So I knew that there was a creature. I didn't know until watching. I'm like, oh, it really is just a large spider. There's a few more close-ups where you see he has a moving mouth and speaks. Because at first, when he showed up, I was thinking, is he speaking like telepathically, or is he actually speaking out loud? And then you see he has a mouth that moves. But yeah, he's a spider. I do think for the uninitiated, like at least I kind of knew from talking to you what I was getting into. You tell me that there's a movie on Netflix starring Adam Sandler called Spaceman. And if you have no other information, you're like, oh yeah, Adam Sandler hasn't really done a comedy where he's in space before. Like I'm sure it'll be something silly in space. And it is not that. This is like you said, a slow burn. And I'm wondering how the Netflix audience will react to this, if they're expecting, just a typical Adam Sandler comedy, or if they do their research and they know what this is going into it.
Yeah, it's one of those films that is getting some buzz. It's getting mixed reactions, which is fine because you don't know what you're getting to. But the message, I love the message and the themes of the film. It talks about some serious subject matters, and I think it's pretty interesting. You don't see much of a non-sci-fi, film, a film that takes place in space, just talking about these types of things, love, life, and death, and a bunch of other things, and relationships, and just a journey that he's on, not just in space, but in his own personal life. Sandler's Jacob, and I thought it was pretty good supportive cast too. I thought everything was good. You're a big fan of Carey Mulligan. And she has like a sub story, I feel like, too. She has her own story as well. And that was very interesting to see play out as Jacob is in space.
I was surprised at how much this movie does show things happening off this space station or spacecraft that he's in. You see a lot back on Earth with Carey Mulligan and Kunal Nair, who I know best from The Big Bang Theory, playing like a more serious supporting role here, and I thought he was pretty good.
He was actually really good. I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, Big Bang Theory. When I went to go watch a live taping of Night Court, he appeared with a little Big Bang Theory reunion that, and he was funny in that. So to see him in a serious role, I haven't seen him in anything else outside of those two things. I thought he did really well, and I'd like to see actually more from him. of what he does, because I think obviously non-comedy roles. But and what do you think about Paul Dano's voice as Hanush?
I thought he did great. He uses this very soothing tone throughout that is very meditative and very much goes with the tone of the film and being kind of a reflection and like a therapy session, as I know you've kind of referred to it as. Like I think he's very fitting. And Paul Dano is very talented, and I think that he doesn't get enough credit for how good he is in general. And so when something like this, that's just his voice, I thought he was great.
I'm not sure if there is, but there needs to be like a Siri with Paul Dano's voice, some type of meditation app with his voice. He does a lot of narrations. I know that for sure. But there needs to be an everyday app that we use that we could connect to Paul Dano's voice, maybe even on Waze, you know? I would love to see that. His voice is very soothing. And Johan, the director, that was the only person he had in mind. He's a big fan of Paul Dano. It's a very small cast, and that's actually pretty impressive that a film like this doesn't need many characters. It's mostly Adam Sandler in space, but obviously we see Earth and everyone else on there, but it's really just focused on Sandler, and Sandler's able to carry the film. But yes, the narrative does get a little boring. It's very dialogue driven, and message and themes. And so if you're into that type of stuff, this is the film for you. If you're looking for a epic sci-fi film, this is not it. So don't be misled. I'm not saying don't watch it, but watch it with open, eyes and ears. It's great. If you're looking for a sci-fi epic, what should they watch, Drew?
Dune.
There you go.
Go see it. It's in theaters now.
Yes.
Go see it. Go back and listen to our episode on it. I actually, it's a good point. It's out in theaters now. We were lucky enough to be able to cover it last week, so everybody who's seeing it can tune into that. And I've already had some friends that have messaged that have had really good experiences seeing it and have already and are really, really liking it. So it's nice that we got to do that, and then it gives us a chance to talk about some other movies like Spaceman or not Drive Away Dolls, which you and I didn't really care for.
We
that
made
much.
a mention on that the last one, I believe. We make a quick mention here. It's not something we're probably going to get into because we just weren't big fans of it real quick, but that is also coming out. If anyone wants to check that one out, go for it. If you liked it, tell us. If you didn't like us, tell us. You can tweet us and let us know your thoughts on that one.
Judging by its box office performance last weekend, it doesn't seem like many people are seeing it. And then especially with Dune 2 out this weekend, I'm sure it's going to get buried even more. I would imagine a lot more people are going to tune into Spaceman on Netflix than go out to see Drive Away Dolls, unfortunately. I'm all for seeing movies in theaters. Drive Away Dolls, it's a Ethan Coen movie, not the Coen brothers. It's just Ethan. And it weirdly kind of feels like a
first timer
Coen brothers movie.
I feel like it's a first timer movie, like someone that never made a movie before and is trying to put something out there and just closed his eyes and said, "This is what I made. Hopefully y'all like it." That's all it is.
The movie has like a lot of talent behind it and great cast, and it's just the Margaret Qualley character, and I like her as an actress in general, but I found her character to be extremely grating in the movie, and it kind of made it hard for me to enjoy the movie overall. But anyways, we're getting off on a tangent, but it's just
this is why we didn't want to do a Drive Away Dolls episode, because I feel like we'll dive deep into something we don't want to. But yeah, you want to sit at home, Spaceman. You want to hit the streets and hit out. Go watch Dune Part 2. We did an episode on that as well. March is going to be busy, guys. March is going to be really busy. You got Ghostbusters coming out. You got Godzilla and Kong coming out, and I'm sure there's more as well. But it's blockbuster month to me.
How on earth are you not shouting out the movie that my 4-year-old daughter is most excited for this month, Sean?
Kung Fu Panda. I remember
4
now.
is next weekend. Come on.
Yes, we will do we have to do a Kung Fu Panda. Four. It's four, right? It's 4, 5, 6, 7. What is we at?
It's 4, and I've only seen the first one, Sean. I need to catch up with 2 and 3 this week. Am I gonna have to become a Kung Fu Panda expert?
I think so. I think I have to go back to Dave and Buster's and play that Kung Fu Panda game. Have you ever played that? I think I played that.
No, I didn't know there was a game.
It's like a karate game. You hit the things, and it's kind of fun. It's a good workout, and maybe you can get your black belt that way. But that's a fun Dave and Buster's game. I'll tell you that if you can find that Kung Fu Panda game. So yeah, a lot coming out. I'm sure there's more that we haven't mentioned, and maybe we'll dive into some other things. But make sure you do check out the past 31 episodes of the Moviegoer Society. Also, make sure you check out my podcast, Real Insights. I got a lot of fun interviews. I just dropped one for Royal Crackers on season 2 on Adult Swim, and one of the voice actors is Miley Flanagan, who is the voice of Naruto. And you better believe it, that was a fun one, and it's a fun cast as well. So check that out. And once again, Drew, where can they find you?
You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms. At Drew Munhausen on Letterboxd, where I'm logging things that I'm watching. Of course, here on the Moviegoer Society, and hopefully at the movies where you can finally I won't be saying Dumpuary as much anymore, which is nice. We're finally entering into March where there's some blockbusters coming out. There'll be some fun things here. So hopefully we're kind of gonna get out of this January, February rut of a trickle of releases. Like you said, Kong, Ghostbusters,
Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda, sure, why not? Imaginary, I know, we'll talk about.
Oh, that's
soon.
right. I totally forgot. Yeah, I have some Imaginary interviews coming up as well. We're talking to that. That's worthy of speaking about. But yeah, a lot of movies. We had to endure one more day of February. That's done with. So now we get into the bigger movies. So we're excited to share more content with all of you. So thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Moviegoer Society. Once again, I'm Sean Tajipour, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and we will see you at the movies.